And they get to the middle of their life and they look around at all this stuff that they have and they feel empty.
Mm.
Okay. And they have no idea why. Because you know what? They did everything that their teachers told them to do. They did everything that their parents told them to do. They did everything that society said you should do. And they feel betrayed and alone and they don't understand why they're so unfulfilled. It's because no one ever taught them to take the time to figure out what you want for your life. And guess what? They take their own life as a result of it because there's also this stigma with men that if you speak up and tell everyone you're not okay, that you're weak and you're a little bitch and that's not true. Vulnerability is strength.
I believe action is the foundation of success. With strategic action, your vision can become a thriving reality. However, in today's modern age, you will need world-class digital infrastructure designed around the goal of your business. At Vision Thrive, we specialize in creating websites, e-commerce sites, and mobile apps for your business. When you work with us, we have a no questions asked refund policy, so you're guaranteed to like what you see. If you're interested, please visit visionthrive.com. That's VISIONTHRIVE.com. Look, this is perfect for every entrepreneur and MMA fighter out there. Again, take a look at visionthrive.com. Joseph, you're the co-owner of the Modern Body Project with your wife. You're a relationship coach, much, much more. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Erik.
Absolutely. I like to go back with my shows, man. Like, where did you grow up and what was childhood like for you?
Oh yeah, I was born and raised in Clearwater, Florida. The hard streets of Clearwater, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. It was my father was a musician. Our life was really about music and growing up. It was the best of two worlds. I always tell people my mother was raised in Omaha, Nebraska in the 1960s, which is, like the pinnacle of, nuclear family and ethics and values. And then, my father was a musician. So you can only imagine what that life and lifestyle was like. So, but a lot of things that I learned growing up, was, again, those ethics, those values, integrity, the importance of manners, as well as, you can make a living and you can raise a family pursuing your dream,
Yeah.
which my father was doing. Uh, I was a troubled youth. I started getting in trouble very early. It started, in elementary school, middle school, and high school, and I was on a pretty destructive path from the time I was, 13 or 14 till about 26. Battled alcoholism and drug addiction and just not I was not a good person. I say that because deep down I really was, but if you looked at my behavior, it was reflective of somebody that was self-serving, a liar, a cheater, a thief, and I got in quite a bit of trouble with the law. I destroyed a lot of relationships. I objectified women and used them as possessions. And I dropped out of high school. I got my GED, and it was one of those things where 2 months before my son was born, I made a decision that enough is enough, and I got some help and I've been going as fast as I possibly can in the opposite direction since then.
Yeah.
um, I think one of the big things that I tell people is, and this has been coming up all the podcasts I've been doing lately, is we focus a lot on motivation and inspiration, but the most powerful force for change that I've come across in my own life has been desperation. I mean, a desperate person gets shit done, bro.
Yep.
Like they are on a path to change and make things work. And so that's where I was at, and that's okay. That's all right. And I think the other thing that I tell people is the moment that I made it about my life was as a result of my own behavior and taking ownership and taking self responsibility. It was no longer my parents' fault, the girlfriend's fault, the cop's fault, the teacher's fault. It was Joe DiRoma's fault. My life began to change just as a result of taking full responsibility. Right. So
Yeah.
I got three brothers. We're all pretty crazy, and it was a lot of fun growing up. And but it got to a point where it wasn't fun anymore, if you know what I
Sure.
mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was the same. I lived that rockstar lifestyle for the longest time, man. And then I saw somebody, like when I was in my early 20s, I saw someone in their 30s, and I was like, I don't really want to be doing that when I'm in my 30s, man. Like, I remember that moment so specifically at a
Yeah,
concert, right?
that's when you were working in the music industry.
Yeah.
It was backstage one day. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, dude, it's just
Powerful,
wild,
man.
man. 2009, I think you were like, you've had all these ups and downs through your life and stuff like that. But then 2009, you decided to kind of dedicate your life to personal growth and development, things like that. What was it that made you click, made that click and like, oh, man, I need to start pursuing this personal growth and dedication and stuff like that?
Pain,
Pain. Yeah.
pain. Tony Robbins says it, and a bunch of other guys say it.
Yeah.
Change begins to happen when when the pain exceeds the fear of changing.
Yeah.
That's when we start to take action in our own life, and that was true. That was true for me. The old saying, "I was sick and tired of being sick and tired." I mean, there's a reason why that cliche saying is so real. Is
Yeah.
because it's like Well, I'll give it to you like this. My whole life, this is what I heard. That Joe DiRoma could really be something if he just worked up to his potential. And it's like, yeah, it's true.
Hmm.
It really is true, because my life is proof of that. That if I actually take care of myself and love God and seek a spiritual solution first and then everything else second, like I have a pretty remarkable life.
Yeah.
And I was in quite a bit of trouble, Eric. So, I mean, the first 3 years that I was working on myself, I didn't even have a license, man.
Mm.
I had no
Wow.
car, and the bus systems are not great here in Tampa and
Okay.
everything else area. It's not like a big city.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll just hop on the bus or the subway. It's like, no, I was riding bikes and buses and getting rides, and it wasn't easy, but it was necessary in terms of the humility I needed to,
Yeah.
grow into who it was I was to become.
You mentioned Tony Robbins there, and he's definitely one of my favorite kind of virtual mentors. Who's your personal, like, favorite, either personal or virtual mentor, and why?
Ooh, I don't know if I can say just one.
Yeah, there's
I
so
have
many.
I yeah, I have a top 3.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
Dr. Miles Monroe. He is remarkable.
Nice.
And then yeah, Les Brown and Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson just recently, because he's just become kind of big, but the other three guys, I've listened to them quite a bit. In the spiritual domain, it's Alan Watts.
Yeah. Yep.
Alan Watts, I've been on him since 2013, and that's just been huge for me from a expansive spiritual, thinking, and just, he's such a great orator.
Yep.
Everyone is so wrapped up in society's definition of success that it just totally destroys their what they're pursuing in their life. Until you clearly define what success looks like for your life, because it's subjective. You
Right.
have to define it for yourself. And it's not what your parents say it is. It's not what your wife says it is. It's not what your teachers say it is. It's your life. Clearly define it for your life, The second leading demographic of suicide in our country is 35 to 44-year-old men. The reason is that they graduate from high school, they go to college, they get the degree, they meet the girl, they get the job. Maybe they get a couple promotions at the job, they get a house, they get a nice car, they start having kids. Next thing you know, maybe they get another promotion, they're making good money, six-figure income. Maybe they have some debt they built up over the years, maybe they even get some toys, and they get to the middle of their life and they look around at all this stuff that they have and they feel empty. Okay. And they have no idea why. Because you know what? They did everything that their teachers told them to do. They did everything that their parents told them to do. They did everything that society said you should do. And they feel betrayed and alone, and they don't understand why they're so unfulfilled. It's because no one ever taught them to take the time to figure out what you want for your life. And guess what? They take their own life as a result of it, because there's also this stigma with men that if you speak up and tell everyone you're not okay, that you're weak and you're a little bitch, and that's not true. Vulnerability is strength.
Hey, I'd like to give a special shout out to the sponsor of our show, the Makeover Master. I can't say enough good things about them, as they've done a ton to help grow our show and support our mission through their branding and brand strategy help. Honestly, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without them. Here's the deal. If you run a business and you want more awareness, leads, and sales, everyone out there is telling you that their strategy, tool, or tactic is the magic pill that will give it to you fast and easy. But these quick fix solutions don't work for most, because most businesses are either missing the foundations or they're out of order, and the foundations are what make all these online strategies work. Well, I have some awesome news for you. Because of our sponsorship with the Makeover Master, I'm able to give you their $997 foundations course for free. I've been through this course myself, and it is packed with so much value, and it's unlike any other course out there today. You can get through it in less than a few hours, and it will completely transform your perspective on what really matters and why it matters when it comes to having more success with your business online. If you go to the show notes of this episode, our sponsors page, or visit erikallenmedia.com/foundations today, you can get access to the course completely free. And I'm not really sure when this free offer is going to end, so go to erikallenmedia.com/foundations and get your free $997 gift from me to you. When you're coaching people, do you see this common struggle over men that you kind of see in repetitive? Is it the emptiness, or is it something else?
From my experience, all the men that I've worked with, it's just a lack of clarity on what they really want.
Yeah.
They're just so jumbled up in their head about all the things that are going on and all the different directions they're being pulled in, that they're very confused. Mm-hmm. And confused men are not confident men.
Right.
And I just don't think anyone's ever, a lot of them are afraid to sit down and sit with themselves. A lot of them, I think, are, like I said before, confused. They don't know who to talk to. They're a number of them have a big problem connecting with their wife and their kids. Just because of the emotional part of everything. A lot of us had dads that were emotionally unavailable, so we don't know how to give and receive masculine love, so there's that part. I would also say too, another huge thing is Mr. Nice Guy syndrome.
Okay.
Where it's just like, I got to do everything possible to keep the peace at the house. I mean, I've worked with guys that are working full time, paying all the bills. They do all of the laundry. They do most of the cooking and cleaning in the home, and doing all this other stuff, like taking the kids to soccer practice, doing all these things. And their wife is just home miserable and depressed, and like they have no idea what to do.
Huh.
And unfortunately, in those situations, um, when you're in a spot of the rough part of desperation, right?
Yeah.
Like women don't find that attractive.
Right.
They just don't. They need you to kind of say, hey, let's get on the horse here. You know what I mean? And maybe shake things up and be the man for a minute here, rather than trying to, hold everything together.
Right.
So, it's tough. The biggest thing though, like I said, is men just they lack the clarity on what they truly want for their life. They have no purpose. They don't really haven't ever really gotten clear on what their passions are, just because no one's ever asked them those questions, the most important questions we should be asking ourselves.
Yep. Exactly.
Erik, we're not special. I mean, we're special because you're the only Erik Allen that will ever live and ever was and ever will be, and not same for Joe DiRoma, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, dude, we're just regular guys out here kicking ass, man.
Yep.
And if we can do it, any men can do it. Any man can do it, right? Like the story that Les Brown always says about Roger Bannister. Up until the point that he broke the 4 minute mile, every person on the planet believed it was incapable of a human ever doing it.
Yeah.
And then after he did that, about 18,000 more people did it in the next 20 years, including some high school students.
Come on, man. What are you most proud of in your life or in business?
Hmm. I always answer the same question. Breaking the generational context of inattentive DiRoma fathers.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just constant generation after generation of absentee fathers not showing up in their life. And, I broke that. I
Come
have
on.
my son full time. And one of the big reasons why the research shows that a lot of the problems we have in terms of, college degree graduations, trouble with the law, um, continuous poverty is as a result of the father not being in the home. It's just what the research shows. That's it, and the statistics around that are staggering. So, if one of my top five values is legacy,
Come
and,
on.
that's breaking that chain and showing up daily for my son and being involved in everything that he does is the probably the one of the greatest ways that I can make a ripple into the universe in terms of lasting effect and change in the world. And I've had people say, well, that doesn't seem like a lot. And I say, well, sometimes the simplest, smallest decision that we make on a daily basis to show up for somebody is what's going to produce radical outcomes for the future, not some big mountain movement. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Man, this is such a good show, dude. Thank you so much for taking time, man. I have just a couple of other questions for you. I love to ask this. So I'm a music guy, so I love to ask the question like, who's your favorite band, or do you have a favorite type of music you like to listen to?
Yeah, it's funny. My mom just texted me last night and said she just finished watching the "If You Don't Know Me by Now" documentary by one
Okay.
of my favorites, Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid in middle school, I was 10 or 11, I think. I got in big trouble and I was grounded for 6 months. And how I got grounded back then I didn't have a TV in my room. We didn't have all that stuff.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to go outside. So all I had in my room was my dad's record player, his really good, headphones he wasn't using. And I had all of his records, and I discovered 70s soul music.
Okay.
So Barry White, Teddy Pendergrass, Marvin Gaye, the Brothers Johnston, all that stuff like that, Quincy Jones. And it helped me escape. So, I love Teddy's one of my favorite. I also love Luther Vandross. I'm also a big hip hop fan.
Okay.
My dad played 50s and 60s doo-wop, so I love that stuff. I love
Yeah.
Sinatra. I really pretty much get down with everything.
Okay.
played in a punk band on the drum set in high school, but
Oh, that's awesome.
everything but pretty much country. Some of the older stuff I like, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I love 70s soul music, man.
Oh, so good, dude. So good. I remember like as a kid, I grew up, I was at my grandma's house. I was always at her house, and I would be downstairs in the basement where my dad actually had his room as a kid, which was funny. But she had all the 8 tracks of Elvis, and I would just be playing Elvis on 8 tracks as a kid, man, like for years. And I'm still a huge Elvis fan. My grandma still a huge, like, loves Elvis so much, man. And I think that was that huge inspiration for me, like, you know, being there and just playing. I didn't even know what 8 tracks were. I was like, ooh, this plays music. I'm just gonna stick it in there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know, but man, such a huge influence on me, man. Yeah, Elvis is definitely up there with me. Joe, this was such a great show, man. Thank you so much, man. Where can folks get a hold of you, follow you, connect with you at?
Joseph DiRoma on Twitter. I'm sorry, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all Joseph DiRoma. Thanks so much, Erik.
Dude, killer, man. Thank you so much, man. This was an amazing show. Truly such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for watching the show today. I appreciate it. If you could, please leave a rating and review on our Apple podcast. The link is down below. That helps us get our message out, get the show out, helps us get ranked out there on the Apple podcast. Also, leave a comment below, man. I'd love to know what part of this show made the most impact on you. I respond to every comment on there. And please share this video, whether you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please share it out. We want to make sure that we impact as many people as we can with the guests that come on my show and highlight those guests and what they've got going on, and they're changing the world. So thank you so much for the time. So appreciate it. Have an awesome day.